So welcome to the post-buy podcast for this week. We have a lot to discuss this week. We're going to discuss why so many teams aren't finished. We'll talk about rookies, picks to finish your team, and a few bargain picks. And joining me this week, as always, Eno, how are you, mate?
Jords, what's going on, mate?
Yeah, not much, man. How'd you go?
Well, in the last buy round, I got 2,150, which was like 300 for the round, and scooted me up to 213th overall, which is the highest I've been for, I think, like 3 years, I think. So pretty happy with that. How about you?
I did okay. Not quite as good as yourself, but 1961. No, sorry, I scored 2,076.
Yeah.
With a buy round average of 1961. So,
yeah,
pretty happy with that. How about yourself for the average?
Yeah, my average was 1975. So, not too much more than you. We're about the same across the buys. So before the buys, I was about 700th and moved up to 213th now. How about you?
I think I moved up about 1,000.
Yeah.
But I think it just goes to show how important buy planning is. Because some people, they're just like, oh, whatever, deal with it as it comes. But we might not even get buys next year. We don't know yet. So
yeah, I'm liking it.
Yeah, kind of hope that we do get them, just because, just to get an edge on other people. But we'll see what happens there.
Yep.
So one thing I wanted to speak about. Basically, I'm checking forums, Twitter. No one's finished their team. I'm yet to see a finished team. And a lot of teams aren't even going to be finished. Yep. Even mine. So I'm going to have Hoare at D6. So yeah, it's just, I think a lot of people have missed rookies. Maybe, I don't think people have sideways traded that much. Definitely not more than myself. But yeah, it's a little strange this year. I think, for me, when I started the year, my goal was I need to have 13 keepers plus Brodie Smith. And that was what I was working with. I refused to go anything below that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of people did overpay in the mids and in defence as well. So it was difficult. We had to pay for Dangerfield, Gawn, Grundy, McRae, Cripps, Lloyd. So do you have any thoughts on why teams haven't been finished this year?
Yeah, I mean, just what you said there. A lot of the good picks that you need to kind of start were just really pricey. So, I'm sure most went. I know you didn't, but at least one of Lloyd or Whitfield, if not both.
Yeah.
And then all those mids and rucks that you said. So it left, not much to spend elsewhere. I don't know how many value picks you went with. But like Brad Crouch has worked for me, but other than that, no one else really.
I think value picks are really important this year. So Brad's worked out pretty well. I had Billings. I traded early, but he would have been okay.
Yeah.
And then a lot of players have just gone up in price a lot. Like Josh Kelly, you can't really get him in for 650.
No.
Dunkley 600 now. You're locked out of him pretty much. So I think for next year we have to really look for value because we might have to pay 700 for Gawn and Grundy again.
Probably.
So, yeah. And then there'll be Cripps, there'll be Kelly again, there'll be Neil. Probably skip Neil next year, but we'll see. But yeah, something to keep in mind, just value picks for next year and recognising rookies. So I missed Stack, which is really bad, but also had Rob, though.
Yes, yeah. If you miss Rob and Stack, you'd be probably struggling quite a bit to finish your team, which might be the main reason that a lot are.
Yep. Okay, we can discuss rookies for this week. For rookies, it depends on your team, but I don't think cash generation is important at this point for bringing in rookies now. Certainly not for me. You just want someone as cover, really. So, the most traded in rookie, I would assume, is Griffin Logue. Looked pretty good. Melbourne were butchering it a lot, so he got plenty of the ball down back.
Mm-hmm.
He's 160k, so he's actually pretty good cover. So if you can bring him in, go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, I went him last week just for that extra to get 22, which I really wanted to do last week to try and get a good score, which paid off. But yeah, he's playing that perfect role. Ryan's been affected a little bit, you could say, which I don't mind because I don't have him. But as long as Griffin Logue stays injury free, which I know you weren't too sure. He'll still score probably 80 plus for the rest of the year, 75, 80 plus, which is perfect to have as cover. So
I do remember in the preseason there was one report on an intra-club and they were just saying Logue was marking everything.
Yeah.
So probably had a good preseason, but yeah, I think the way for 160k you just see him as cover, so pretty good cover
Cheap
pick,
cover.
and you can play him on field in the meantime until you finish. So Connor Naish, you are the Richmond man. Talk about Naish, please.
Naish, look, I got him in. I think it was the second game. Again, just for an extra body because I didn't have many that week. His scoring's fine. Like he's kills it in the VFL and whatnot, but I just don't see him playing more than, let's say, 3 more games of the year. And that's probably given him a couple. Just because of all our players coming back. There's Short, Lambert, Koch, Edwards, Rewalt in a couple, Nank in a couple. I know they're not, his role, but just the sheer number of players coming back means it'd just be really hard for him to hold his spot unless he literally just kills it. So his chances are slim, but I mean, he'll make a couple, 100 or so K if he plays the next few, and then he has a little that loophole, really.
Yeah, he has a little bit of scoring power as well, so
scores quickly. Yeah,
I do really like the look of him, but yeah, as you said, too many plays to come back in, so probably wouldn't bring him in. He was really good for bye coverage.
Yep.
But if he doesn't play, you just use him as a loophole with Logue and your cheap D6. So
yeah, but I say if no one has either of them, they're most are just going to go Logue, and then Nate should just be left alone, most likely.
Yep. Nick Hind, I brought him in. I forced myself to sit through a St Kilda game.
The worst one.
Yeah, I was sick anyway, so I was just thought I'd watch the footy. So he played pretty well. I brought him in before he even played a game. He was playing halfback. Richo's put him at half forward so Armitage can play halfback. But he's actually played half forward pretty well. Kicked 3 goals on the weekend.
Sure.
And he's a really good kicker of the ball. His disposal efficiency would be really high without looking.
Yep.
So I think he's decent cover. I think he holds his spot. Obviously, he needs to keep performing because his disposal count is kind of low playing half forward. But he's the least of St Kilda's problems at the moment. So I think you can bring him in if you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's a downgrade option.
Yep.
It would be great if we had a few DPPs.
Yeah, that's another thing this year. They're all mid only. Only. There's no fucking DPP. Mid forward's the one we're missing, really.
Yeah, I know we have Cameron from West Coast, but with Rioli coming back, I'm not sure how he holds his spots. He played well, so he might hold it for a week, but I'm not sure he's in their long-term plans. More of a development phase for him.
Yep.
And not much scoring power either, playing small forward, I think he's like 18, so...
Yeah.
So yeah, on Nick Hind, bring him in if you want to. And the last one, I think it's James Rose from the Swans. So he played pretty well. I think he plays outside mid. I kept mistaking him for Heaney because he's got blonde hair. But I'm actually not sure if he plays outside mid, but I think he did get a bit of mid time. So he's...
Oh, I swear. I'm just looking at his now. He's actually played 7, but like over 4 years or something. So
his NEFL numbers are a lot better than last year.
Okay.
Like a lot. So I'm not sure if they play him, to be honest, but he looks like the best rookie option up forward, put it that way. So even though he's 160k, but not sure I love it, to be honest. But yeah, I see it as a risk, but I'm just not sure on his job security. But he's definitely improved this year, and he can score. He's probably going to throw in a few 80s here and there if he plays. So
yeah,
that's James Rose. the best available, but not the best job security. But we'll see what happens. Can't be sure. So picks to finish our team. In defence, I have 3 listed here. You can list them in order if you like. We have Stewart, Daniel Rich, or Rory Laird. What are you thinking out of these 3?
Well, I got Stewart last week. I really wanted to go Laird because I was going to skip one of them. But then I went Stewart just because he was playing, obviously, get that extra player. But I think I'll get Laird this week anyway. Stewart's just going to be consistent 90 to 100. That's it. That's his ceiling, really. But he doesn't ever go bad. So he's just a consistent pick. A boring pick, Lang would say. But
Yeah.
he'll just get the job done. And you'll probably, he won't. I think he's missed a game since he's even, played his first one. So, yeah. Rich, you want to talk about Rich?
Well, I only don't mind him because I think he's the best option for 470k around that price. I'm a bit tight for money, so can't really afford a 500k dude. But I do remember reading he was having his best preseason ever this year, Daniel Rich. And I kind of just ignored it because he's Daniel Rich. But this year he's getting a few free points from kick-ins, and that's pretty much it, in better form than last year. So don't mind him as an option. I think he'll go 95 for the rest of the year, something like that. But yeah, don't mind Daniel Rich. But out of Stewart, Rich and Laird is clear number 1, I think.
Yeah.
Because after the Geelong game, he's a stretch of, I know St Kilda's in there, Gold Coast, Carlton's in there, Port, and I think Essendon. That's a pretty nice 5-game run.
Yeah.
I think he went 140 on Carlton last year as well. So really like Laird. So yeah, definitely Laird first. But if you didn't start Laird, I think it's pretty good for you because he was same price as Lloyd roughly.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the defenders. So yeah, Laird first, Stewart, then Rich. In the midfield, this is a bit more contested. So we'll talk about the guys that are around 500 to 550.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Bont, Sloan, Merritt, Treloar. I know you're getting in a player I told you that you weren't allowed to get in this week.
So will everyone else, mate.
Yeah, I'll speak about Sloan quickly. My favourite player.
Oh,
I think people... yeah, he tackles a lot. He gets the ball. He kicks goals. That's pretty much it for Sloan, and he won't let you down. So for 510k, that's a pretty decent price. He was 580k before the hamstring went off. Pretty solid option, I guess. Hurts me to say it. And then, so I brought in Bontempelli. He's getting tagged now. I don't know why. With the Dogs
forward on the weekend, it looked like he played a fair bit forward.
Yeah, he does both. It's probably like a 70-30, mostly mid.
Yeah.
The thing is with the Dogs mids, it's Dunkley and McRae are still getting off the chain, and Bont's probably the damaging one.
Yeah.
He gets a bit of space, so probably makes sense to target him. I think Bont's a fantastic option for 530k, ceiling of about probably 115, given he has to play forward a bit.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak about Merritt at all?
Yeah, I'll speak about Merritt. I didn't realize Bont was in 20% as well, by the way. It's a fair few. Merritt, yeah, I went him. I mean, it doesn't haunt me, I'd say, but I went him over Kelly about, 6 weeks ago now. I actually don't want to work it out, but I wonder what I'd be, how much higher I'd be ranked if I went.
Kelly's going to get injured, so don't worry about that.
That's, yeah, well.
Hey, yeah.
Merritt, yeah, he's a good option. I mean, I'd like to see Essendon go on a bit better. They got smashed last week, and who knows how they'll go on Thursday. But yeah, he's a pot option, really. He's still under 10% ownership, so that's what I like about him. If he can go, 110, 115 for me for the rest of the year, that could really, be a point of difference and shoot me up a bit. So he's more the pot option, really. Also, as the next bloke, actually, as well.
Merritt is so capable of 110 plus pretty
Yeah.
easily, so he is a
Yeah.
bit more expensive than the other guys we're talking about. So
Yeah.
still a pod, so pretty good option. Adam Treloar, 500k, universally hated on the Discord by bar about maybe 2 people.
One probably.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Murph. How are you, Murph, if you're listening? Um, so he has a decent run home, I think, and no Taylor Adams, no Dane Beams. So I think he's a fine option for 500k. I would prefer Bont and Sloan, to be honest. But
Yeah, I would.
500k, that's nothing. I think
Yeah.
he's 500k.
Yeah, he's
Was last
506 or
week.
something.
Okay.
I just looked at their fixture. Like they play some pretty easy teams at the G, but all their away games. Here's this for the rest of the. I mean, North this week, not a great team, but West Coast away, GWS away, and Adelaide away are their last 3 away games. So, I mean, it doesn't mean a hell of a lot, but they're not the easiest games.
No.
But
But
they
yeah,
play
don't mind.
Melbourne and Gold Coast at the G, so
Oh, okay. So yeah, if you can't afford Bont and Sloan, just go Treloar, I think.
he's a good option. Yeah.
But then quickly, Josh Kelly. When we said we hope he gets injured, we don't mean him. We don't want him to be like hurt or anything. We just want him to have a rest for
Just a game.
1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's, what is he now, 650 or something?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's just so frustrating because all the top dogs are getting tagged, but Kelly, people still think Canelio is the best midfielder for GWS,
It's a joke.
and they're just ignoring Kelly. And Kelly's doing whatever the hell he wants. So if he got some attention, he wouldn't be scoring 130s every week. But yeah, for 650k, I'm not sure many people would be in a position to get him in for that price.
No.
If you can, sure, but you probably can't. So that's Josh Kelly, really.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get him in at this price. You'd have to be going that well to do that. It just means you're probably not finishing your team and just stuffing yourself for the rest of the season, really. Like
Yep.
him to what Sloan is 140k. Like that's just so handy.
Yeah,
You can't.
you could up. Yeah. Anyway, forward line. Do we pay 600 for Josh Dunkley? Yes or no?
If I didn't have him, I'd be worried. But
Oh, he's
no.
614. He's even more.
Yeah,
Just
Six
casually, 3
yeah.
round average of 130, 5 round average of 120. He's hurting you bad if you don't have him.
he is, but it's just too late. I think, especially in the forward line. Oh,
I think that I think you have to get him unless it makes you run out of trades. Like if you feel like your team's like uncomfortable, you probably have to avoid him. But otherwise, he's gonna score you a lot of points.
yeah.
600 is probably still value for him, to be honest. The way he's going.
True, he'll be like 650, like Kelly soon.
Yeah, but unfortunate if you don't have him. So, bit of a tough one. But I think most of the forward lines, I think your forward line's probably the perfect 6.
Yeah, that's what I went for. I wanted to get Rowan in just because he's just an absolute man. So, yeah. The 2 dogs,
530.
the 2 cats, Spoke and Marshall is probably the best.
530 for Owen, I think, is still decent, even though he's been cheaper than that the whole year.
Yeah, it's not too bad, especially with his run coming up.
Oh, he plays Richmond, doesn't he, this week?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Hopefully he calms down a bit that game. So now we'll talk about players that are bargain price. Some players I'm considering because I'm not going to finish my team probably. With Hoare at deep, maybe if I want to sideways Marty Hoare.
Yep.
So this one came up as a YouTube comment. Zach Jones. I put this in the Discord and you were like, nah, you're an idiot sort of thing.
No,
But
I didn't. Called
you
you mad.
didn't. Okay. Yeah, something along the lines. You didn't love it, put it that way.
Yeah.
So Zach Jones, 400k. He's playing midfield. I think he has had one hamstring injury, but that was due someone pushed him in the back, and then he did some sort of dodgy motion which tweaked his hamstring. Would be averaging 90 if he didn't do that. For 400k, I don't mind that at all if you can't finish your team properly. So, don't mind Zach Jones. I suppose you have nothing to say on that.
I mean, I guess, yeah. That was it. Injury effect. Like, was it during the game in that North game, the
Yep.
hammy? Yeah. So his scores aren't actually too bad before that. Yeah, he does play a bit of mid, I guess. Not for me though.
So Jack Crisp, 445k, something like that. He has the Carlton and Gold Coast games coming up, so he loves to beat up on those teams.
Yeah.
I don't mind him as an option for 440, if you can probably go up to a Stewart if you have the money. But if you don't mind Crisp as a cheap D6 option.
Yeah, it's just something. Yeah.
And also another one, Christian Salem, who's actually improved quite a lot this year. I think he's averaging 92. He's around the same price as Crisp, so does have a high ceiling, Salem. And Melbourne seem to be getting it together slowly, even though it's too late. So I actually don't mind Salem as a pick for 440k. But yeah, obviously you want to go for the better guys, but if you can't afford them, you can go for the 400k guys.
Yep.
Now in the midfield, for under 500k, there's probably two picks, Matt Crouch and Angus Brayshaw. So Matt Crouch, my favourite Crouch, you like the other one.
It's
But
the better one. Makes sense.
Probably hard to argue with that, but I
really?
like Matt. Well, every Crow supporter knows that Brad was the more talented brother when he came in.
Yeah.
Brad could not get on the park. He's missed 2 full seasons, and those other seasons he hasn't played above 18 games. So I just didn't expect. Yeah, I didn't expect Brad to have such a good season after not playing for a year. But I know the Crows, they got some fitness guy, Steve Saunders, who's pretty much fixed all our injury problems. So he's worked with Brad and done an incredible job with him.
Thank that man.
Yep. So yeah, Matt Crouch, I think historically he's done pretty well after the bye. And without his injury, he'd still be averaging 108. I think he's a fine option for M8. Starting to think he's a little injury prone, but not too badly. Nothing significant, but picks up niggles here and there. But yeah, fine option for 490k. Less expensive than Brad now, which is unbelievable. And Angus Brayshaw playing his role back in the midfield. Still a ball butcher. And for 450k, he was 400 a while ago, but I think he's probably going to go between 97 and 105 for the rest of the year. And if you're happy with that for 450k, you can go for it. Do you have any thoughts on him?
I don't mind him. His past 2 weeks have been good. Back playing the role that he was playing last year, like you said. So if you're strapped for cash, he's actually a really good option. I mean, he's $400 more than Isaac Heaney, and I'm just looking at it like that could be an option, but yeah, probably not because I just don't have the trades.
Yep. And Dan Hanbury. So this bloke was cooked pretty much. Everyone thought he was. He had a preseason. He was still cooked. He needed another 14 weeks to get on the park. Didn't set the VFL on fire. I think he got around 90 and 70 something in the VFL, Supercoach points.
Yep.
But came back and he looked pretty good. Had a decent start to the game.
10 on 11 first quarter.
For 300k, if you're really broke and you need an M8, I think your play is Dan Hanbury. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be really, really struggling for cash. because like none of us are in a real position to get him as bench cover for 300k. But if anyone needed a player to, I don't know, is he a viable M8? I'd be nervous.
Not really. Yeah, I would too. He has injury concerns big time.
Yeah.
We saw like Josh Kelly come back from 4 months coming off surgery, and he needed a break 2 weeks after playing for 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So he could be rested, but I think he's the best option at 300k. It's unfortunate if you'd be in a position where you only have 300k for your M8, but he's your guy if you're in that position. Yeah. I can't trust it fully, but that's still the play. So that's Hanbury. Up forward, I think, as we said, there's probably a clear top 6. We don't count Walters because he gets suspended, he gets injured, or he dodges suspensions now. But yeah, Walters, I'm not sure how he's lasted this long.
Yeah, got lucky.
But one option we can look at is Tom Hawkins, if he's looking for a cheap option. So he had a really bad game on the weekend. I think he scored 20-something, but averaged, I think he was on 95 for the year. Has a really high break even, so he should be around 420k in a week or two. So if you're looking for a cheap forward, I think Hawkins is your guy.
Yeah, and Geelong runs pretty good from memory, isn't it? So,
yeah, they played all the hard teams early.
Yeah, I don't love it, but he is going to be a cheap option and probably will kick some bags towards the end of the year. Did you see the stat that he held the record for the most games in a row with a mark and then like having 0? Like he had like 250 games in a row, at least having 1 mark.
Oh, really?
And then on the weekend he didn't have a mark.
I don't know that if that record can be broken. That's pretty big.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So there's no one else really. There's still Robbie Gray if you want to go for him, but he's up to 470 now.
Yeah. No.
But not many cheap options in the forward line that I like too much. Sometimes players can have role changes, so keep an eye out for that.
Really late in the season.
So those are the bargain bin players. And finally, we can talk about how many trades should you have left by now in order to feel safe for the rest of the season.
Well, I'll have, I think, 4 or 5. More likely 4 to finish off. What about you?
I think I'll be in the same boat with Hoare at D6. Thinking about going with 3 trades and upgrading and turning Hoare into Zach Jones. But really, Hoare's got a similar 5-game average, I think, excluding the injury. So I'm not sure. I think in defense, you probably want Logan's cover if you can. 160k cover is pretty hard to pass up.
Yeah.
Then in the mids, you probably should have playing mids. There's been a heap. There's been Bewley, Hind, Dylan Clark. So you should be okay with those guys covering. And there's really no one up forward. I think that's the problem with the forward cover this year.
Yeah.
So I've seen some people still have Setterfield and Parker. I'd probably hold on to them, to be honest, if you have them.
At least one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we both have 4 left. I still feel a little bit uneasy. So I just think about I think it was a week before the first bye round. I had Whitfield, Hearn, Sloan, and someone else go down. I can't remember who. So I had 4 injuries in 1 week.
Jack Steele.
He was after, I think.
Oh, right.
I think it was Hoare. I think Hoare as well. So if that happens, there's still 9 rounds to go. So if that happens again, that is a big problem. So hold on to your trades if you can. I think for any less than 4, you're in deep trouble. 4 is still pretty. Still feel a bit uneasy, but I think 5 to 6 is ideal.
Yeah. Quickly, a couple of questions that come in if you want to answer them.
Oh, I haven't checked them, but okay, we'll do them.
Murph says 3 Primos defenders to finish my team. Choose 3 of the 6 out of Sicily, Hearn, Ryan, Whitfield, Stewart, and Rich. Right, okay. Already has Lloyd, Laird, and Z-Will.
Okay.
I think you say Hearn in a week or two,
Yep.
Stewart now, and I mean you can't probably wait for Whitfield either for that many weeks. So Ryan, what'd you say?
I wonder if Lowe's going to affect Ryan much. Hasn't seemed to have too much effect, but he hasn't gone like a... It's only been 2 games, but Ryan's known to pull a few 130s, and he hasn't done that with Logan, the team.
Yeah, because I think he's playing more as a key post, so he's still scoring, but I think he's scoring differently Ryan now. Like I think he's scoring more from intercept marks as opposed to a heap of touches. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed anyway. Like he was playing full back on who was it 2 weeks ago? Like Farrell.
Was it Farrell? Yeah, Farrell kicked 4 on him.
Yeah, but like I think he's just scoring his points from just taking intercepts.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely Hearn, definitely Stewart, and then probably... Well, who knows when Whitfield's coming back?
It's too long, I think. Too far.
Probably... I'd actually say Rich over Ryan.
Yeah,
No. For the price, probably Ryan, Rich even, I think. Just because I'm not sure. Ryan's roles changed very slightly, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan or Rich, take your pick. Probably Ryan, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much it. Although Griff said, who's the better Supercoach player? Ryder to Gray or Captain Luckbot?
So who's Captain Luckbot?
I don't know. Is it me or is it someone else?
It's definitely you.
How am I? Sammy is, I reckon. He's a low key. Man has 10 trades or something.
He was ranked 4th at some point. You need to be blessed to have that sort of luck.
It's definitely Ryder to Gray though, let's be honest. That man.
I think, yeah, getting 2 180s from Lysette, that's ridiculous.
I think I see people are trading him in, which, I mean, it isn't the worst, but...
Just on that, I hope Ryder to Gray wins, to be honest. I don't know him, never met him or anything like that. Just know him from, he's rank 1. But I like the Lysette pick, because I feel like a lot of people, especially players that... I guess you could say are influencers or have their own platform. None of them pick pods, I swear. I'm like one of the few people that pick pods. So obviously you don't have to pick a pod to win.
No, but
I'd like to see it a bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I think he started in Ruck 2, didn't he? He had Grundy and Lysette, and then he moved Lysette forward and got in Rob when Rob was coming on, if I'm not mistaken. So he still doesn't have Gorn, I don't think.
Really?
Unless he's traded him in soon, but he'd
want to get Gorn.
Well, it's working. I mean, but yeah, Gorn's what, 730k now, so
worth every cent though.
Yeah,
Captain option.
Yeah.
I've captained him like 4 weeks in a row or something.
Well, I guess he's just captaining Grundy, isn't he? Then.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's that.
That's all. Thanks for joining me, Enno.
No worries, mate. We'll see you next week.
Hopefully, but pleasure as always. We'll see you guys next week.